Aha, there we go. We are back. It's the first podcast in 2 months. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Out of the Fast Lane podcast. I am your host, Brady Hauser. Today's guest is NASCAR driver Ryan Vargas. Ryan, I'll get to you here in just a second. It's been a while, though, for everybody that has been on my channel. Obviously, as most of you know, our last podcast was with Austin Pollock from Eric Jones's pit team. Of course, Austin grew up around our town. But just a week after that podcast happened, I went to prom, and then after prom, I woke up the next day with a collapsed lung, so I was in the hospital for a week. And so I was not able to do some podcasts for that whole month because I was out of it. I just got back into it about 2 3 weeks ago, and back to our normal, just doing interviews at the track. Of course, if you guys have been paying attention, Stuart Friesen and Todd Bodine were on my show last week, or we talked last week after Stu won at Fonda and Todd ahead of Pocono this past weekend. But here we are. We're back with the podcast. This is, I believe, episode 12 on the year, or the season, I should say. And Ryan, first of all, thank you for coming on. And how are you today?
I'm good. Just getting ready. Doing all the prep I can for Michigan here in about a week. Lots of time to prep. So just been studying up, talking with my crew chief, going over notes, and making sure we're ready to hit the ground running.
Obviously, so you just announced today. Obviously, you're not going to be racing Indy, but you will be racing Michigan. So, as a driver, I'm sure the prep has got to be pretty intense getting ready for another race.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's a lot about just making sure you're keeping up with your fitness regimen while also making time to look at race notes. Going over past experience that you have there, as well as rewatching kind of older races from there from like years prior. Like I'll go back and watch last year's race, and I might even dabble into 2019's race. You know what I mean? So it's a lot about just trying to see what there is and going from that.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you just got done racing Pocono this past weekend, which let's just say it was one of the craziest races of the year for the Xfinity Series. I mean, there was caution after caution. There was cars everywhere. There was cars on their roof. We had a good finish between Gregson and Gibbs. You were in the top 20 for quite a bit of the race. You missed quite a few of the wrecks, and overall, good day, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we wish we could always finish a little better, but the good news is we improved on the car. I got better as the day goes on, as well as a driver, and we were able to finish off with pretty much a clean car and finish top 25. Which it's like I said, it's nothing crazy, but go home, put that one on the shelf and just be like, all right, cool, that's a good weekend.
Absolutely. Now you're racing on the triangle, so
Yeah.
Pocono, it's like no other track in NASCAR, and I mean, you guys are. It's got to be weird racing on a triangle like that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about it is, every corner is so different from each other. So turn one is so much different than turn two. Turn two is so much more different than turn three. Um, so you really set yourself up for how each corner is, and you have to almost prioritize a different corner. For us, we had to try and prioritize turn number three because that one obviously leads on to the long, long, long front straightaway, which is just about as long as I think if you unwrapped Martinsville and laid it out as a straight line, I think the front straightaway is still longer than that, which is crazy to think about. So um, lots of time to think on that front straightaway. And if you don't have a good turn three, you're going to regret it.
Well, and a couple of drivers did regret it, and unfortunately, one ended up getting up on his roof. Were you anywhere near that when that happened?
No, we pitted the second time around during that pit cycle, so we restarted a little towards the rear. And when that wreck happened, all I saw was smoke, and so I just stopped. Pretty much, I just saw them all wrecking, and I was all right. I'm just gonna stop right here and let them finish wrecking. And you see on the replay, you see a blue car just kind of creeping through there, going probably 30 miles an hour, just kind of moseying through. And I look off to my left, and I'm like, oh, well, that car is upside down. You don't see that often.
No, especially at Pocono. Pocono's not one of those tracks you would expect it. You would expect it like Daytona or Talladega, but Pocono is kind of an interesting one to have car up on his roof. But yeah, so it's obviously a good weekend there, Pocono, and then of course the whole Cup Series race was yesterday. We had the whole incident at the end with Chastain and Hamlin, and then Hamlin goes on to win just for 2 hours later to be told, no, you didn't win. You didn't pass tech. and him and Kyle Busch ended up getting 36th and 37th. Chase Elliott picked up the win, so wild weekend there. But I want to learn a bit about you, though, Ryan. Obviously, you've been obviously racing for a long time, and you came up through the NASCAR development program and all that. But for people that don't know, what initially got you started into racing?
Yeah, I mean, I just grew up being a massive fan of really anything with four wheels and a motor. I actually started off being really a fan of monster trucks, and that's really what got me into cars and all that stuff. And I'd find myself when I was, 7, 8 years old, waking up at 5 a.m. to go out there and try and get to try and watch, IMSA races or sports car races, at any time that I can. So it was something that I just enjoyed. And when I found out that kids could race, younger kids could hop in and drive, race cars, bandoleros, that told me all I needed to know.
Obviously, so I've interviewed quite a few Bandolero racers through a program with Austin Therio and the Hornaday crew. Uh, for people that don't know, what is a Bandolero?
So a Bandolero race car is a basically I believe it's a third scale uh, size stock car essentially with a 30 horsepower Briggs and Stratton lawnmower motor. I ran that for about 3 years. Uh, Ran that and really just continue to move up. See, those are the cars right there. That's basically what I grew up driving, and I started in that when I was 11 years old. Right off the bat, we won the state championship my first year in racing, and just continued, winning more and more and more. And by 2014, we tied for the national title.
Wow. So a lot of racers, I'm sure, race those, and obviously that's got to be pretty cool getting to race some of those guys that you look back now probably. Oh, I raced a dude when I was like 10, and now we're here. We are like here
Yep.
we are racing in NASCAR. So I'm sure that's gonna be pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I spent a lot of my younger years racing against, Noah Gragson and Riley Herbst out at the Las Vegas Bull Ring in the Bandolero cars. So to kind of have raced against those guys and be able to see how far both of us, all three of us, really have come, it's kind of neat to see how that's all happened.
Obviously racing. So obviously it's got to be fun getting to race with your friends every week for sure. But so now you're racing with JDM Motors or JD Motorsports. I should say not JDM Motorsports. I'm getting some stuff thrown together, but JD Motorsports, and then you were also racing with Mike Harmon part time as well. So obviously, I kind of want to know how did you get in with JD Motorsports there?
Yeah, I mean, when I was with the Drive for Diversity program with Rev Racing, that was a 1 year deal, and after that, ended, I kind of found myself, trying to find wherever I could to stay, relevant in the sport. There were so many, opportunities, but obviously, it all comes down to sponsorship. Fortunately, I was able to put together some funds to go race late models. I was able to go do in 2019. I was able to go do roughly 30 late model races and because of those opportunities, I was able to go and basically open the door to go race, a one-off at Iowa Speedway in 2019 for JD Motorsports. And I knew that race was essentially my make or break race. And to go out there and do what we did and finish, run inside the top 15, finish 17th, we turned some heads. I proved to not only myself, but others within the garage area that I do have a place here. And I just, ever since then, my goal has been to continue proving myself because I still feel I haven't proven everything that I have.
And obviously, so we're racing with the six car, and obviously it's a little tough, I'm sure, as you know, racing as a smaller team. It's not always a given to have a ride every week. Does that make it a little more challenging for you as a driver?
I mean, it's definitely a little bit of a challenge. I mean, every race, I'm racing with the mentality of, I'm racing for my ride, I guess. So I continue proving my worth as a driver, as a business person, and as a crew member. So it is difficult at times, but you know, I'm very fortunate to be in this situation where I'm able to go out there and do what I do. Because I know a lot of people would love to be in my shoes, and uh, I'm very fortunate, but it is definitely difficult at times.
hmm And then obviously you get to race part time with Mike Harmon as well. And obviously Mike Harmon is definitely it's a smaller team in NASCAR, but you're so you get to race with them at occasions, and you having fun over there with them guys?
Oh yeah, Mike and his guys over there, they're a great group of people, and it's no secret they've had an unfortunate string of races this year, and it meant a lot to go out there and deliver that strong run we had at Portland, and you know it's just a good group of people. Mike and his team, Mike, Ryan Bell, everybody at Mike Harmon Racing, uh, they took me in under their wing, and I was able to learn a lot from Mike, as well as just surround myself in a new environment. Um, it means a lot that I'm able to go, to a team and just, have these opportunities. And it's such a unique thing to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely means a lot. And I cannot express that enough, to race at this level.
Mm-hmm.
To race at this level for any car owner is a dream come true. And, Mike and his team, they are class people. And I'm very, very excited for them this weekend. They have Brandon Brown driving their race car. So best of luck to those guys. And I hope they have a strong performance.
Mm-hmm. Now, so Xfinity Series makes their return to Portland earlier this year. Like you said, you got to race in that. So that's a road course, obviously, and I've never really I watched that race and never really knew about the raceway, and definitely a unique road course. What was your intake on that?
It felt like just a really big go kart track. Um, Very small road course, very tight, not many racing lanes. Um, which proved to be difficult, especially in the rain. Obviously you're fighting for every position, every spot on the racetrack, and when there's not a lot of room to move around, it leads to the chaos that we did see at Portland. Um, so hopefully, next year if they go back, hopefully that race ends up being a clean and green race. Hopefully that goes to their um, hopefully we're able to put on a good show there. I like road course racing a lot. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I enjoy being able to go out there and bang gears and hop curbs, and I mean they're some of my better tracks really. So it's a different style of racing, one that's totally different from everything I've done in the past. It's just a lot of fun.
Hmm. And so you just mentioned Portland. Obviously, it's a tighter raceway, but you also mentioned how the rain could be a factor with road course racing. You've raced in the rain. A lot of drivers have not raced in the rain. I mean, I look at Charlotte last year, and you were in the. We'll talk about the TikTok car in a minute, but you were in a TikTok car, and you were racing basically just a whole puddle of just puddle of water. I'm sure that's got to be a little sketchy as a driver.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with rain racing is standing water. You have to worry about that. You have to be consistently on edge of, knowing, okay, you have to be watching the track. You have to look at where you're driving because you don't know if you're going to be in a braking zone and suddenly you hit a patch of standing water and suddenly you're spinning. It happened to me when I ran the Charlotte Roval in the rain. And, fortunately, when I ran the 47 car at Portland, we didn't have that issue. We were probably one of the only probably two cars that weren't involved in an accident. And that paid dividends at the end of the day. And like I said, it was just that weekend was just really fun. I just remember the whole vibe, going into that one with Mike and all those guys. It was just fun. We had fun. It was fun hanging out with those guys. They're, like I said, they're just class acts over there. And I really enjoyed the opportunity to go race over there. And it definitely helped me a lot, when I did come back to the six and I was able to apply different things that I learned. So, two really good opportunities to drive for JD Motorsports and MHR. And yeah, just lots of fun.
Hmm. Now so like I was saying, you had brought out the TikTok car last year, so you're on TikTok quite often. I see your videos all the time. I think there's a couple of you on there reacting to video game crashes or something like that. I've seen, and there's a whole bunch. You have a whole bunch of TikToks on there. First of all, what is your TikTok, and then tell me a little bit about this deal. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, you can see it on that rear quarter panel there. That rear bumper. My TikTok is
Ah,
Ryan Vargas _23. I think I'm somewhere near 490 something thousand followers on there. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy. I enjoy the platform. It's fun to be on there, interact with basically a new demographic, a new fan base, something that is people who may have not been exposed to NASCAR. suddenly you're able to put it in front of them and they're like, oh, this is cool. And this is a driver that's just, just like us. He just hangs out. So, I try to show that to people. I try to put that out there so that people can see, like, that it is a welcoming environment to go into. And that TikTok car is a beautiful piece. It was a lot of fun with them on the car. And, it's just, that definitely helped put me on the map.
Absolutely, I'm sure it did. And, I gotta say that is one of the nicest cars I have seen for sure. Now you're also you're an avid iRacer. You're on iRacing a lot. You've been obviously that's kind of a big part of your career right now. Obviously, you do Twitch streaming a lot with iRacing, and for you as a driver, what's your intake on that? I know they say it's just a racing simulator, but it's really not just a racing simulator for like a guy like you.
Yeah, I mean, I utilize it as a tool as much as I can, and then I also use it to have fun. It's I use iRacing a lot when it comes to tracks that I haven't been to or that I have been to, really just to get my sight lines down. Especially in 2020, 2021, where we didn't have any practice or qualifying, to go to a track and have your visuals down, your marks, where you need to be. That helps out a lot. You're never going to be able to replicate the feeling, the G load, all that stuff, or
Hmm.
weather. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
hard to replicate that in the sim. So, you get the most you can out of it. And definitely with iRacing, I've been able to get a lot out of that.
Absolutely. So, what has been your favorite part of iRacing? Is it getting to connect with the fans or just getting to learn a little more and more about racing on that game?
I mean, it just helps me get my racing fix. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's fun to hop on there and, mess around, go out there and be competitive.
Absolutely.
It's also one of those games that, you could do two things. You could go on there, be silly and run a crazy wild car and track combo,
Yep.
or you can go on there completely serious and, race and put all your effort into it. Just like I'm going to do tonight in the Monday Night Racing playoffs. We actually have Swan Security on the sim racing car tonight on Monday Night Racing. So there's the professional side of it, but there's also the fun and silly side of it.
Like for example, I race myself. I'm not good. You don't want to I race me. I probably put you in the wall. But I was racing Talladega with 410 sprint cars. Think about
Oh
that for
yeah,
a second. Think about that for a second. I mean, you got the wing with the aero package. You're leaning on the corners, and like the car just wants to flip like your tires on.
yeah. I mean, I can only imagine.
Do you race those moon car events at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I ran Moon Car a good handful of times. I guess you could say I ran Moon Car. You know, I think my first Moon Car race was like 2019, 28, 2012. Sorry, not 2020. Geez. Um, so definitely been aware of Moon Car and been buddies with Travis Moonhead for a while.
Yeah. And so obviously, and then Moon Car, a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about that series. I know that a lot of NASCAR drivers do take part in that, and they have fun with that league on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something fun to hop into. It's definitely a hard thing. And, it's not like silly and goofy like something that's underpowered and easy to drive, but it is also something where you can go in there and not take yourself too seriously. You're definitely competing, but you're not going out there, trying too hard. It's all about having fun.
Hmm. And yeah, absolutely. So iRacing is obviously a lot of fun. Do you have a favorite track on there to race at?
On iRacing, I like the speed race. I like being able to do the super speed races on there just because
Oh
it's
yeah.
there's no
You don't lift.
well that, but there's no repercussions for getting in an accident.
Oh no.
You can go out there and race uh, like an idiot and still possibly have a good day. So it's fun.
I agree with that. I'm a lot more better. I am a lot better at speedway racing than I am anything else. Because, like you said, you can put your car places where in real life, if you did that, other drivers might be coming after you after the race. It's like,
Yeah,
why did you do that? But
yeah,
for that, you can just if you want to cause a big wreck, I'm not saying you want to cause a big wreck, but if it happens, at least you know that your car, you can just hit that reset button and restart the whole game.
yeah, absolutely.
Now, there is something that I want to talk about. My uncle did say he texted you this week about this, and I found it pretty neat. And obviously, it's a big part of your life and your life story. You grew up with the same exact surgery as my little cousin Tyler right here,
No,
and that's my cousin.
I had no idea. That's sick.
Yeah, so obviously, I'm sure that's pretty neat. And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I was born with craniosynostosis, which is a craniofacial difference that caused my soft spot to close, fused two of the sutures in my skull to fuse, and basically caused one of the sides of my skull to be pretty much flat. I had to have surgery when I was 11 months old, and I'm very fortunate to the point where I haven't had any residual effects of craniosynostosis or the surgery, and I haven't needed any other surgeries after that. But I also personally know people who, still deal with it, who still, who have craniosynostosis like me and, are a little bit more severe, that are
Mhm.
struggling with, having more surgeries or, hearing loss, vision loss. So it's definitely difficult. It's something that's very close to me. And
Yes.
I'm very fortunate to be, I believe, the only craniosynostosis professional athlete out there. I believe one of the only, at least.
And obviously, so you're a role model for kids like my little cousin right there. So that's very neat. Like for me, for my example, I grew up with autism, so I know what it's like,
Mhm.
and
Oh yeah.
I've struggled with all that and went through all that. And with that, I represent a lot of that. And actually, this past month, I did a whole thing for charity for Stuart and Jessica Friesen because their kid Parker has autism, and they do a foundation for kids with autism that need the help because some kids are really, really severe. They can barely even speak and stuff like that. And um, yeah, we did these limited edition stickers. That's what everybody. I do gotta say that. Thank you everybody that did purchase those because we raised over $800 for their foundation. So
That's cool.
that's awesome. And so yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and it's pretty cool to be. It's kind of pretty cool to help show those kids that like, look, we might have something different going on, but we're a different person. We got everything in us that we have. Like a how do I say this?
I
We're inspiring you to do big things, and you can do big things and stuff like that. And it's pretty neat for sure.
love that. That's cool.
Yeah, so you didn't. I didn't think you knew. I thought he said he texted you. I guess not. But yes, that's Tyler is my cousin and Joe is
That's
my uncle.
cool.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Um. Well, I'm not gonna keep you here all day, so I got a couple more questions for you.
Yeah, no
And
worries.
here is my question. First of all, what's with the thing with chicken nuggets?
I love them. They're good.
Because I was watching some of your old stuff, getting a little bit of research about you earlier, and all I see was these videos about chicken nuggets. I mean, you're doing chicken nugget reviews with Haley Deegan and Myatt Snyder and young Chase Cabry. I'm like, man,
Oh
this
yeah.
kid, he just loves chicken nuggets.
Yeah, that happened right before COVID hit. So I want to bring it back in some capacity. I've been saying that for the better part of a year now, and I haven't been able to do it. I haven't even tried the first steps of bringing it back yet. But um, it was a fun thing to do, the chicken nugget review. Hopefully, I can find a way to bring it back and have some fun with it. But yeah, I just love it. I love the idea of there's no better comfort food than chicken nuggets.
Well, I guess I can't disagree with you there. But so this is a question that when I had Blaine Perkins on the show about a month ago, or 2 months ago, I should say now, he was a little stumbled on it. He didn't even know how many heads were on Mount Rushmore, which there's four.
Yes,
If there's a racing Mount Rushmore, who are the four drivers?
you would have uh, Richard Petty, uh, Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon.
Any specific reason?
What?
Any specific reason?
Well, if we're going racing Mount Rushmore, you'd probably have to throw in a Formula One driver here and there or something like that.
Oh, I mean NASCAR's. Let's keep it with
NASCAR.
NASCAR.
I was going to say for NASCAR, that's the those are the four right there. Those are just the four greatest of all time. There's no doubt about that. They have all the accolades, all the stats to prove it.
Mhm.
So that's my Mount Rushmore of NASCAR.
Absolutely, that's pretty neat. Here's my one. I have two more questions for you.
That's fine.
Uh, if you could race against any driver, past or present, who would it be and why? And it could be any series, any division, any driver, any person, anything with involving racing. Who could it be?
Jimmy Johnson. I'd love to race against him. I grew up a Jimmy Johnson fan. Still to this day, I'm a Jimmy Johnson fan. Love watching him, seeing what he's doing in the IndyCar series. It's fun to see someone who's as technical as he is and is so involved with the team aspect as well as so data focused. I think that's so unique, and I hate that he wasn't as appreciated as he should have been, in my opinion, during his time in NASCAR, because he was undoubtedly probably the greatest of all time.
Now, for me personally, I would love to do. I'd love to race Dale Earnhardt. Obviously, who
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
want to race Dale Earnhardt? He's probably one of the greatest to ever step in a race car. But personally, I'd love to sling some dirt with Stuart Friesen or Larson.
yeah.
That
There you
sounds
go.
like that. I mean, Larson's a little. I think he'd be a little tough to beat at a dirt car, at any track, any car. But he'd be cool to race against for sure.
Oh,
So out of all the things you get to do as a racer, it's gonna sum it up. What is the best part for you as a driver?
the driving. The driving is the only time where I'm not thinking about things. The driving, you are in a metal cocoon going 180, 190 miles an hour, and that's just you in the car. You're not thinking about things. You're feeling how the car is, all that stuff. You're not thinking about driving a race car. You're driving a car second nature, and that's what I like about it. You're not out there trying to, worry about the next thing, what's going on tomorrow, what's your week looking at. You are simply driving and driving as fast as you possibly can, and that's what I love about it.
Absolutely. Now, so I appreciate you coming on the show. You
Oh,
got any questions you want to know about me or anything about the podcast or anything like that?
yeah, I mean, how many? Geez, I'm trying to English here. Sorry about that. Is this a weekly thing that you do? Is this a weekly show? Mostly weekly.
Uh, Podcast is tough. It's not every week I can do a podcast because it's a lot to go into editing and all that. But no, at the racetracks I cover a lot of dirt racing up here in the Northeast from New York, and obviously, like I said, Stuart Friesen.
Yeah,
He's well known. He's lives like 20 minutes up the road from me. But no, I do a lot of dirt racing, a lot of covering. I actually do a lot of announcing with sprint cars.
that's
Got a
cool.
picture right here actually. There's me
Heck,
announcing. Right there on flow. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of that stuff right now. Hopefully, my one goal, and you know her well. I want to work like I've met Jesse Punch. I would love to work with them. The Pace Lab, that seems like a good group of people to be with.
yeah,
I've talked to them a little bit. They seem pretty cool. Maybe when I'm 18, I'll try to intern with them or something like that. But my one goal, obviously doing all this, I mean, it's a lot of fun. But my one goal would be one day on a NASCAR pit road doing reporting. I don't want to be a play-by-play announcer because that's a lot of work. But I would love to one day maybe do the pit reporting and being on that kind of side and interviewing you before your race and all that kind of stuff. But
no, that's awesome.
no, so you mentioned the podcast. Actually, the podcast started 3 years ago, right when COVID hit. I was just bored in my house one day. I was like, you know what? I want to start a podcast. I'm bored. I got nothing to do. What else am I going to do? I love racing. Let's start a podcast. And I hopped in a Twitch stream with just watching Twitch stream, watching Pro Invitational. Landon Castle streaming. He's got like 6 people watching. So I'm like, all right, I might as well just approach and be like, yo, I want to start a podcast and I'm looking for a guest. Do you think you'd be interested? So I did. And sure enough, he said absolutely. And he went and finished third at Bristol that night. And for the Pro Invitational, I interviewed him like an hour after that on Instagram Live, which if we went back and watched that, I was really, really nervous. And you could tell I was
Yeah.
little 14-year-old Brady there doing a podcast interview. But that led into an internship with a dirt company up here in the Northeast. A lot of local interviewing, a lot of local interviews, meeting a lot of different promoters from local tracks, and here I am 3 years later announcing full time at one racetrack on Sunday nights and Wednesday night. I do a motocross track on Wednesday nights, and then I do a lot of covering with the sprint cars, and I'm actually the secondary announcer for two sprint car tours. So if they ever need a backup guy, here I am on Flow announcing the sprint
That's
cars.
awesome.
And actually Saturday I'll be on Flow at Fonda Speedway announcing with sprint cars, so that's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's cool, man.
Absolutely,
I mean, like I said, I appreciate you having me. That's really really cool.
absolutely. And one last thing I'll ask you here in a second. But first of all, we both got a shout out because he got you and me together. Jeremy Connors, we'll give him a quick shout out. He was the one that kind of got us into doing this podcast. So thank you, Jeremy. But is there anybody you want to give shout outs to? Family, friends, sponsors? Have
Yeah,
at it.
just thank you to all the people who support me. Thank you all the fans. Thank you to sponsors like Swan and all the other people who have supported me this year. We have a cool sponsorship announcement coming up from Michigan. And then thank you to the teams that support me. Thank you JD Motorsports for having my back, and my Carmen Racing for taking me in as well. So I mean, it's good to work with so many great people.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'll talk to you here after. Everybody that is watching, I hope you enjoyed. Ryan Vargas, right here, obviously, NASCAR driver of number 6 with JD Motorsports. And Ryan, we appreciate you coming on, and good luck in Michigan. Thank you for coming on. Everybody that is watching, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. It is free, and you can always unsubscribe whenever you want. All you gotta do is click that red button down below where it says subscribe, and it should turn white, and you're all set. And then you can also click that notification bell. You won't miss an upload. Every time I upload a video, you will have that uploaded, and or every time I upload a video. Never mind. I'm trying to word English too now. Jeez. If you yeah, every time you hit I upload a video, it'll come on your screen and you will see that I uploaded a video. You can go watch it, put the like on that. But other than that, we're on the road to 500 subscribers. We just hit 450, I believe, something like that. So keep hitting that subscribe button, share it to your friends. Let's get this out there and about. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, one more shout out Swagger Factory Apparel and Parks Companies, of course, proud sponsors of the YouTube channel. Can't forget about them. And other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to leave it off with this. Make sure you support those who support racing. Thank you. Ooh, I don't want to end the meeting. I almost hit end meeting. My bad.